Hey everyone, I'm Mind, and this is set number 75414, the Force Burner Snowspeeder from the LEGO Star Wars theme. This set contains 349 pieces, 3 minifigures, and will retail for $54.99 USD or €49.99 Euro when it officially releases on August 1st, 2025. This set was gifted to me early for review by the LEGO Group through the LEGO Ambassador Network, but all opinions expressed in this video are entirely my own. So here's the Force Burner Snowspeeder, which is a Rebuild the Galaxy set. If you guys aren't familiar with what Rebuild the Galaxy is, it was a special that was released on Disney+, and we got a bunch of sets last year, and I believe this is our only set about it this summer, but it's essentially like a Star Wars what-if type thing. That's why we had the Dark Millennium Falcon last summer, it was a part of the same line, and at least personally, all 3 sets last year felt like the freshest LEGO Star Wars has been in a while, so I'm really glad to see that the sub-theme's continuing even if it's not as big this year. I don't often do Star Wars reviews on this channel despite me being a very big Star Wars fan, just because a lot of other people also do it, but this set I did take particular interest in because it is like a LEGO original version of Star Wars, and I feel like there's so much more to say about this than just like another gray ship, another white ship. And the concept behind this one especially I think is incredibly funny. Because the actual build here, this is something that's very similar to things we've seen before. It is a Snowspeeder, but it's taking Snowspeeder and flipping it on its head. It's a Flamespeeder instead. And what's funny about that to me is it just does not make any sense at all, right? It's called a Snowspeeder because it goes over the snow, and we've had this vehicle as the Sandspeeder, which is used in deserts. Flamespeeder is essentially just attaching a different element to it, but that's so goofy in the best way possible, and it's exactly what I want to see from the sub-theme. Beyond that though, I think it's actually just a really good Snowspeeder build, probably one of the best we've had, so let's take a closer look at everything that it has to offer. Now, a big thing is these flame decals on the sides. Of course, these are stickers, and it gives that fiery look, but it also sort of makes it feel like a race car, which I think is kind of a funny idea, Star Wars characters decorating their ships like a race car. The variety in colors in the wings, though, is really good. I like how it's red at the front, but it sort of gets lighter, right? We have yellow, we have bright orange, we have regular orange. That gradient really gives off that fiery feel. But of course, because it is still a Snowspeeder at its base, it has these classic cannons at the front, which I believe are the very first Snowspeeder used, and this piece has stuck around ever since then. It's really funny to see that they perfected it the first time around, because yeah, that works really well. Another thing I really like is the transition from the wings into the center section, because of course this is built in 3 different modules, right? You build each of the wings individually and then attach them to the sides. They're just a part of one solid vehicle, they just sort of angle off to the sides. But yeah, you can see the set uses these 3x3 angled slope pieces in yellow, and those line up with this 2x3 slope piece in the middle, and I think that creates a very nice natural transition that makes the entire build feel very put together. There's a small gap, but I think that looks fine, and that's by far the most obvious gap. The rest of the wing, it's not even super clear that they weren't built directly into the center area. The windshield for the cockpit is an amazing part. I believe this is all new for this set. Now, I don't collect as much Star Wars as some people, so if anybody else recognizes this from another set, please feel free to correct me in the comments. But yeah, I think this is our first time around getting this, and it looks so good. It's dual molded in black and trans yellow, which first off, dual molding for a windshield is such a smart idea, because printing on windshields looks fine, but sometimes it can be misaligned, and you definitely couldn't print over every surface like this. So dual molding allows you to have a lot of detail in the piece, while still obviously having those transparent windows and everything. And I really like the use of transparent yellow for the windshield too, as opposed to clear or transparent black. Obviously, transparent yellow fits the whole fire aesthetic, but it also feels very classic LEGO, because a lot of classic space sets did use trans yellow for their windshields. And that's what Rebuild the Galaxy is supposed to be, right? It's sort of a parody on Star Wars, but also LEGO in general. So bringing this classic LEGO color scheme unrelated to Star Wars into Star Wars I think is super cool. And then of course that gradient continues here too. These angled tiles from Speed Champions work really well. They were just introduced last year I believe, but already they're coming in tons of sets. The windshield connects with these clips at the back so it can be hinged open. And there's 2 seats inside, one for Sig Greebling and the other for Darth Dev. There's some printed console pieces in there, but nothing like new or special, it's just LEGO's generic ones. But there's how it looks to pop Sig down in there. And there's Darth Dev. You can see he's got little handlebars and he's facing the other way. You can close the windshield back up around them and you can see one minifigure can see out the front, the other can see out the back. And on the back here, there's actually a little turret on a ball joint for Dev to control. This is just a stud shooter. You push down on it, a stud will shoot out. There it is, just a transparent red tile. Back here, we also have a few exhausts, and this is actually a play feature in the set. Dev's seat inside of the vehicle is actually a detachable speeder. Here it is on its own. You can see it's still got that flame aesthetic, though obviously it's a lot more simple. But 2 stickers in the front on these triangle pieces, some tiny little exhausts out the back, and a little more of that yellow, orange, red gradient. It's cute though, I like how the characters can either ride together or ride separately. Not too complex of a speeder build, but it's fine. This clip on the back is how it attaches to the full vehicle. There's just this yellow bar inside the Snowspeeder, so you kind of pull the smaller speeder in from underneath and just attach it like that. With the smaller speeder removed, the Flamespeeder doesn't feel like incomplete or anything. The turret on the back is definitely a little awkward without a back pilot or anything sticking out the back here, but if you wanted to, you could sort of fold that up in a way. And there definitely is like some obvious openness back here if you lift it up. But I like that the 2 vehicles connect, but the bigger one doesn't feel too out of place when they're not connected. The smaller one tucks away fairly nicely. Here's a look at the underside of the vehicle, which is honestly pretty solid. There's not like any awkward colors or shapes anywhere. However, there are these two clips down here to attach the minifigure's accessories while they're in the ship. It's each of their lightsabers, and funnily enough, those are orange and red. So you could actually imagine these as little lasers coming out the bottom if you wanted to, because the colors match what those would probably be. But of course, when you've got it flat against the ground, those tuck away real nicely. So yeah, honestly, I really love this model. Now, how much this model costs is a whole other story, but I'm going to talk about that more at the end of the video. First, I just want to get through everything, so now let's take a look at the side build in the set, then the minifigures, and then I'll give you my overall thoughts on everything at the end. So here's the side build in the set, this little villain vehicle for Solitus, who's our new original villain, and it is a STAP, which is the vehicles that battle droids ride around on. Again, Star Wars heads in the comments, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we only ever saw battle droids riding on these in the movies, maybe in the Clone Wars or in the books or something, other characters ride these, but to me at least this is very much a battle droid thing, so I think it's very funny to have this like Sith character riding around on a battle droid vehicle. But again, that is very much what I want Rebuild the Galaxy to be. Make weird, wacky vehicles that characters would never ride. The STAP is a vehicle that I really love because I remember fighting the battle droids in like the first or second level of LEGO Star Wars when I was a kid, and they were riding around on these, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. So I'm always happy to see them come in sets, and I appreciate that there's this transparent stand on the bottom to actually allow it to float in the air. Actual build not too complex, obviously we got some cannons at the front, there's handlebars for the minifigure to hold on to, and this is like a place for the minifigure to rest his feet. Unfortunately, there's not really a place to attach the minifigure's accessories, like I guess you could attach them right here, but that definitely changes the look of the vehicle. His accessories are so big and this is so small that I don't know if there's a way to include it without changing the look of the vehicle. But yeah, maybe some clips coming down would have been nice. It's not the end of the world though, and if you really want that, it shouldn't be too difficult to customize. For a side build, I'm pretty happy with this. I like the design. Here are the first two minifigures in the set, Sig Greebling and Darth Dev. And I'm going to start by talking about their accessories because of course they both come with lightsabers. Dev's is just a red lightsaber, which makes sense, he's a bad guy. Or at least he was, it looks like he's a hero in this set, but that's besides the point. Sig's though is really cool because it's orange, and I believe this is our first time ever officially getting an orange lightsaber. I'm not sure if we've gotten this bar piece in this color in other sets, I know we had it in like neon orange in Ninjago, but regular orange, at least personally, I believe this is my first time getting. So getting a brand new lightsaber color in the year 2025 is super cool, and especially one so unique, I think it fits Rebuild the Galaxy really well. This is a color of lightsaber that's not appeared in any movie, but I'm sure it is canon because everything's canon if you look far enough. But as someone who's a fan of Star Wars pretty much only through the movies, this feels very fresh and new, so I think it was a really creative choice to give it to our main character here. Which, speaking of, yeah, if you don't recognize these characters, these are the two main characters of Rebuild the Galaxy. They're original characters, not based off anyone existing, and they actually do have all new figures for this year. We did get other versions of them last year, but now Sig's in more of like a Jedi robe, and Darth Dev is now no longer in his full Sith robes. Instead, he's got like one arm exposed, and his outfit seems a little more casual, though obviously still very much covered in tech. There's new face prints in each of them too, which is kind of surprising. Sig has a little like confused or concerned face, and then just a very happy smile, while Dev has a very angry face, and then also a confused expression. The green scarf on Sig looks really nice. I appreciate that they kept that element of his design from his original minifigure, but it's cool just to have more like generic Jedi robes. And I like Dev's design a lot. He feels like a more unique character this time around, when the first time he was just like generic Sith. Something really cool about him though is he does have arm printing. Now this is the same arm printing that he had last year, but I appreciate that they didn't remove that for this figure. Even though the rest of the figure was changed, that was kept. You can see there is some metallic silver on the back of his torso, just like on the front. Yeah, these are pretty solid minifigures for, like, LEGO original Star Wars characters. And then here's the other minifigure in this set, the villain, Solitus. Again, this is another Rebuild the Galaxy original character. But before we talk about him, I want to also talk about his accessories, because he comes with this double purple lightsaber that's connected with a chain. So I guess it's sort of like lightsaber nunchucks? I don't know, it's very ridiculous, but again, I love it. It feels so silly in the best way possible. And I love getting fun lightsaber colors, the fact that it isn't just red, blue, green. Purple obviously is a bit more common than orange, because we've had it on, like, Mace Windu, but still, it gives this guy a very unique identity, which I love. And the chain is absolutely ridiculous in the best way possible. But with that removed, the minifigure by himself is also phenomenal. Based off his face print, he looks to be a Duros, which is like the same species as Cad Bane, though I could be wrong about that. I think that's what they're going for here. He is sand green instead of blue, though. But I love the color choice in his outfit. It's gunmetal gray with like this sand blue trim. And then he's got this necklace with a purple gem around his neck. Like, that looks amazing. The Duros design does also work surprisingly well for a villain. But yeah, that gunmetal gray cloak is by far the highlight. Then he does just have the modern Sith hood piece and the generic, like, spongy cape. No alternate face on him, which is a little unfortunate, though if he's bald in the show, I guess that would make sense. I don't know what he would look like with his hood down. And there's the back of the torso, which is not too complex of a print, but it makes sense because it's covered by the cape most of the time. So yeah, that is all three figures in this set, and I do really like all three of them. I think they're great. But what I'm a little disappointed by is what's not here. And I guess that sort of ties into the price discussion, so let's get into that. Because overall, what are my thoughts on this set? I really like it. I think the concept's really fresh, the build's really fun, but there's there's one thing holding it back, which holds back a lot of modern Star Wars sets, and that is the price. Because it is $55 for no reason at all. The vehicle feels like $30, and okay, the minifigures are fairly detailed, right? You got arm printing, you got some new parts, I guess. So maybe I could see $35 for this. But if it was $40, I'd feel like it was a little too high, $50 feels like too much, and $55 is ridiculous. It really feels like with Star Wars at this point, they're just charging whatever they want because they know people will pay it. It especially bothers me with this set though, because this set isn't an adult-focused set. It is designed for kids, right? It's based off the Disney Plus special. It doesn't have any classic Star Wars characters in it. It's meant to be played with by kids. But if I was a kid and I paid $55 for this, I'd be really disappointed. Because go to any other theme, you could get so much more for that amount of money. And listen, if this is the size of build they wanted to do, I think there's more they could have done with it, because that's the other thing, is I would have liked to see more, like, Rebuild the Galaxy stuff here, because by far, one of the coolest parts of the wave last year was the reimagining of classic Star Wars characters. We had, like, Darth Vader, we had Darth Jar Jar, and listen, I don't need a ton of those characters in this set, but adding in one more minifigure who is a reimagining of a classic character, I think would have added a lot of value. So yeah, great set, but ridiculous, unjustifiable price, and unfortunately I feel that way about a lot of the Star Wars sets this wave. But of course, those are just my thoughts, so let me know what you guys think of this set in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like on it, subscribe to my channel if you're new. Thanks for watching everybody, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!